The year was 1987. Luke, an eager young historian, had been granted permission to spend a night inside the Waverly Hills Sanatorium to gather information for his dissertation on early 20th century medical facilities. With a backpack full of research equipment, he stepped into the ominous building as the sun set, casting a deep shadow over the sanatorium. Luke had read about the alleged hauntings of Waverly Hills, but he was a man of science and shrugged off such tales. He began his exploration in the main hall, scribbling notes and sketching the interior. But as night deepened, a chill swept through the corridors. Thinking it was just the evening air, Luke continued unfazed. Descending into the basement, Luke stumbled upon the entrance to the infamous death tunnel. Curiosity piqued. He decided to venture inside. As he progressed further, the echo of his footsteps began to sound odd. Instead of the consistent tap of his shoes, he heard intermittent whispers, almost as if the walls themselves were speaking. Shining his flashlight on the tunnel's walls, he saw faint, luminescent letters forming words, "Help. Us." The air turned icy, and a cold draft blew past him. The whispers grew louder, and soon, Luke could make out distinct voices, each narrating a tale of pain, despair, and longing. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from behind him. Luke whipped around to see an old, rusted wheelchair slowly rolling towards him, its wheels squeaking eerily. There was no one pushing it. Heart pounding, Luke tried to retreat, but the whispers grew deafening, their stories of sorrow and suffering engulfing him. As dawn approached, the security guard stationed outside the sanatorium began his rounds. Entering the building, he followed a trail of hastily dropped research papers that led him to the entrance of the death tunnel. Inside, he found Luke, sitting in the old wheelchair, his face pale and eyes vacant. Despite the warm morning sun, the tunnel was cold. The guard tried to communicate with Luke, but he just whispered. They wanted their stories told. And now I'll never forget. Luke was eventually taken to a psychiatric facility, where he spent his days narrating tales of Waverly Hills' past patients. The sanatorium remained standing, its walls still echoing with whispers, waiting for the next curious soul to listen to its stories. This bat-shaped, eerie building is called a haunted hospital or insane asylum. The first hospital on the windy hill on the outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky, was built in 1910 to treat victims of the white epidemics that devastated the country. At that time, no known treatment methods existed, and this disease often resulted in death. In some cases, doctors tried experimental methods to alleviate symptoms, and stories of illegal medical experiments emerged, some of which resulted in the deaths of patients. This passage aligns closely with the story of Waverly Hills Sanatorium and the history of the fight against tuberculosis, which was also called the White Plague or White Epidemic.